Comparison is one of the most human things we do. Everybody compares. You compare careers, relationships, appearance, intelligence, best plan, how quickly your life is moving compared to everyone around you. That part is normal. The problem is not the comparison itself. The problem is how easily comparison turns a meaningful life into a disappointing one. You can be making progress and still feel behind. You can be loved and still feel undesirable. You can have a stability and still feel like you are failing at life. Because comparison changes the scale you measure your life against. This is Dose of Confidence. And today we're talking about the comparison trap. Let's break this down. There is a difference between ambition and comparison. Ambition expands your life and makes you want to be better. Comparison makes you resent the life you already have while chasing another one. Most people talk about comparison as if it's a personal flaw. It isn't. Human beings naturally understand themselves in relation to other people. You rarely experience yourself in isolation. You experience yourself beside someone, smarter than, less successful than, more attractive than, further behind than. You are constantly trying to locate yourself socially, and a lot of time comparison begins innocently. You see somebody confident and think, I want that kind of confidence. You see somebody disciplined and realize how disconnected you have become from your own goals. You see somebody creating a meaningful life, and it confronts you with possibilities you have been avoiding. Comparison can reveal things. It can expose desires, standards, potential, but there is a point where comparison stops being informative and becomes corrosive. That usually happens when your sense of worth becomes dependent on where you stand relative to other people. Now, another person's success is no longer inspiring. It becomes threatening because their life starts feeling like evidence that you are falling behind. And this is where comparison becomes emotionally exhausting. You stop relating to people naturally and you start measuring yourself against them constantly. Every interaction becomes a silent ranking system. Who is doing better? Who is more admired? Who seems more fulfilled? And eventually, you can no longer experience your own life directly. You experience it through comparison first. Most comparisons are rooted in fear, not vanity, fear. Fear that your life is not becoming what it could become. Fear that you are wasting your potential while other people are fully stepping into theirs. Fear that you are capable of more but somehow failing to reach it. That's why comparison feels so personal, because underneath the jealousy, there is usually grief. The grief of imagining a better version of yourself that you haven't become. And social media intensifies this constantly. You are exposed to endless examples of people who appear more successful, more fulfilled, more attractive. So naturally, the mind starts asking, what if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm running out of time? What if my life could have been bigger than this? That fear creates urgency, and urgency creates obsession. People start monitoring their lives instead of living them. You cannot enjoy your progress because someone else is progressing faster. You cannot appreciate rest because someone else appears more productive. You cannot feel satisfied because there is always another life that seems more optimized than yours. The difficult part is that these fears often sound rational because there are people doing more, achieving more, experiencing more. But comparison ignores an important reality. You are comparing your internal experience to other people's visible outcomes, and visible outcomes reveal almost nothing about the quality of someone's inner life. Social media changed comparison from an occasional experience into a permanent atmosphere. Before, comparison had limits. Now, it follows you everywhere. A normal morning can become distorted within minutes. You wake up emotionally neutral, then you scroll. Someone is building a dream business. Someone is traveling constantly. Someone transformed their body. Someone appears deeply in love. Someone your age seems dramatically ahead of you. And after enough exposure, your own life starts feeling insufficient by comparison. Not because it lacks value, because your perception has been recalibrated. Social media creates an environment where extraordinary moments appear ordinary through repetition. You see enough luxury and normal life begins feeling small. You see enough beauty and your own face starts feeling inadequate. You see enough productivity and rest begins feeling irresponsible. And there is another layer to this. People are no longer only living life, they are presenting life, curating it, framing it, editing it for perception, which means comparison today is deeply distorted. You are comparing your private existence with all its uncertainty and burden and unfinished parts to other people's selected moments of coherence. That comparison will almost always make your life feel emotionally lacking, especially because social media rewards visibility, not depth. The most visible life is not necessarily the most meaningful one, but repeated exposure makes it feel that way. Ambition and comparison can look similar from the outside. Both involve wanting more, improving yourself, moving forward, but emotionally they come from very different places. Ambition says, my life matters, so I want to develop it fully. Comparison says, my life is inadequate unless it resembles somebody else's. That distinction changes things because ambition allows appreciation. You can value where you are while still wanting more for yourself. Comparison destroys appreciation. Nothing feels meaningful because every achievement is immediately placed beside someone else's greater achievement. Ambition creates direction. Comparison creates chronic dissatisfaction. One expands your life, the other makes you emotionally absent from it. And this is why some people can achieve extraordinary things, yet remain deeply unhappy, because their ambition is tangled with self-rejection. Every achievement becomes an attempt to prove something, to compensate, to finally feel like they are enough. But comparison keeps changing the standards. So no matter how much they accomplish, relief never lasts. There is always another person to compete with, another standard to fail against, another version of life that appears superior, which means comparison creates a psychological game that cannot actually be won. You probably will not stop comparing yourself completely. That is part of being human. But you can't stop building your identity around comparison. That begins with recognizing when comparison is distorting reality, when your life only appears inadequate because you are placing it beside highly curated alternatives, when your achievement loses value the moment somebody else performs better, when you stop living your life and become trapped in an imagined version of it. A lot of people are not unhappy because their lives are empty. They are unhappy because they have lost the ability to perceive the value of what already exists. Comparison keeps relocating fulfillment elsewhere. Another city, another relationship, another income, another version of yourself. But if your ability to appreciate life depends on becoming impressive enough, peace remains permanently delayed. At some point, you have to decide what kind of life you actually want. A life that appears impressive or a life that feels meaningful from the inside. Those are not always the same life. And one of the most important things a person can learn is how to stay connected to their own experience without constantly interrupting it through comparison, to enjoy moments before evaluating them, to appreciate progress before measuring it, to live life before presenting it, because eventually you realize something uncomfortable. A lot of people are building lives that look extraordinary from the outside while feeling emotionally disconnected from the inside. And the opposite is also true. Some of the most grounded, fulfilled lives look very ordinary from the outside. Comparison rarely destroys life dramatically. It slowly weakens your ability to appreciate your own life. You stop noticing what is already here because your attention is fixed on what exists elsewhere. Another person's beauty weakens your relationship with your own appearance. Another person's success changes how you interpret your own progress. Another person's life becomes the standard your own life keeps failing against. And eventually, you can spend years chasing improvement without ever allowing yourself to feel fulfilled. Because comparison keeps moving the definition of fulfillment. There will always be somebody ahead of you in some category, always. which means if your peace depends on being exceptional enough to stop comparing yourself, you will spend most of your life restless. The question is not whether you can become better than everyone else. The real question is whether you can remain connected to your own life while ambition, fear, and comparison continue existing around you. Because that may be the difference between building a life that only looks valuable and building one you can actually feel present inside. If this video helped you, feel free to subscribe and share it with someone who might need it. And let me know what other topics you'd like to hear about next. You can find more related videos in the description if you want to continue exploring. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.